Don't run now. Miguel Miranda, don't run now to your white privilege. Don't hide behind your white privilege. I'm being dead ass. You and 76 million people voted for an adjudicated rapist in the White House because you yourself is a rapist. Just like Trump, you raped children. You've allowed 5 officers to die while 4 of them committed suicide due to their PTSD. You've allowed Eugene Carroll to get raped by Donald J. Trump. Don't hide behind your white privilege. Talk about I'm going to end my life. There's nobody to help me. Yeah, because there is nobody to help you. You're a rapist. And rapists deserve the guillotine. Have you read the Bible lately, Damien? Have you read the Bible? Have you read Mark chapter 9, verse 42? Let me give you context on what it says. For whosoever defiles these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a great millstone were hung around his neck and was cast into the sea. Do you know what that means in context? That means Jesus hates people like you. Jesus hates pedophiles like you. Jesus hates it. You raped a minor when you invited her to your stream. And you proceeded to rape her as soon as you finished live streaming. Miguel Miranda, don't run to your privilege. Don't run, and don't make alt accounts either. Because you yourself, every time you make an alt account, you just come back with some excuse like, oh, it's Luna. You're doing what Trump is doing. Blame the brown people, blame the black people, blame the brown people, blame the black people, blame the Somalians, blame the Muslims, blame yourself, Damien. You're pro-life, right? Okay, let's dial it back. Let's dial it back to 2016. Who did you vote for? Let me tell you, through your silence, you voted for the white supremacists. Who did you vote for in 2020? In your privilege, you voted for the white supremacist. That's the issue. You don't give a fuck about 14 million kids that go to school hungry. You don't give a fuck about them if they were murdered in a school or if they were, doing active shooter drills or whatever. You don't give a shit. You're not pro-life, because if you were, you would have been bowing in front of Jesus Christ asking for forgiveness by now. But you couldn't, because you don't give a fuck about what Jesus did for you. You only give a fuck about raping children. That's what you want. That's what you want. So in 2016, you voted for the rapist. God didn't allow it. So you went to 2020. You voted for the rapist. God didn't allow it. And then 2024, Damien, you went behind your privilege, and in your silence, you got what you wanted. You yourself is a rapist because you voted for the same rapist in the White House. You and 76 million people is what's wrong with this country. You voted for concepts of a plan instead of an actual fucking plan. Guess what, Damien? Europe has, don't let me say it because it might trigger you, Europe has universal health care. What does the United States have? Nothing. There's not even a democracy. We've lost all that democracy ever since Jim Crow, ever since the gerrymandering of, states. You, Damien, are what's wrong with this country. You're a pedophile. Just admit it. You're a pedophile. A global pedophile. You have been called out by a VTuber, brother. A VTuber. You have raped multiple minors because, as you said, you're pro-life because you do it in the name of Donald Trump. You do it in the name of Donald J. Trump. 77 million people, including you, Damien, behind your privilege, does not give a fuck about black people being on trees. Ever since 1619, Damien, you never learned about that, right? You were never taught about that. You were taught about white history, not actual history. You were never taught real history. You were never taught about the real reason behind the Boston Tea Party. You were never taught the real reason behind the fucking gerrymandering of states. You were never taught the real reason why, the Black Death never was prevented. You were only taught white history. And that is the reason why we are here. Because pedophiles like you exist. If I was the president of the United States of America, I would have brought the guillotine that was banned by the French president back in 1875. I would have brought that guillotine back and I would have used it for the worst of the worst. People like you. Damien, stop with the shit. Stop with the whole, oh, I have no one left. Oh, I have no one left. No, 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 no. I have no one left, y'all. Nobody wants to even look at your shit. Stop the bullshit. Stop the white victim card. Stop it. You're being retarded. So be a good goyim. Oh, and by the way, I saw you delete my comment. That just proves you don't give a fuck about history. That just proves you don't give a fuck about 14 million kids that go to school hungry. You don't give a fuck about Alex Preddy or Renee Good or Breonna Taylor, a black woman that was shot by a white police officer. You're pro-life, right? Pro-life my ass. You deleted my comments that literally says that you voted for an adjudicated rapist. You deleted it because it's fucking true. It's an irrefutable fact. Facts doesn't care about your feelings, Miguel. And it never will. So how about you stop being a dumbass and live streaming so that people can literally hear your voice to know who the fuck you are behind a voice? And actually turn yourself in. Like deadass. Call the cops, tell them what you did, turn yourself in. Or we could do it the hard way. Or a Yuji Itadori cosplayer can literally beat your ass. It's that simple. My apologies, everybody. People were calling me on Snapchat. But turn yourself in, Damien. Turn yourself in. Do us all a favor. Be a good goyim. Be a good goyim. Be a good white trash. Be a good piece of garbage. And fucking turn yourself in. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. That's all you have to do. Because that way we will celebrate the fact that you have been arrested for child molestation, sexual exploitation, and plenty of others. You raped minors on your stream. You even showed us proof that you raped minors. You don't give a fuck about a child's life. Whether it's shot in a school, whether it's performing active shooter drills, you don't give a fuck about it once it's born. Right? And that's the sign. My apologies. People have been calling me on Snapchat, which is fucking retarded. But you are what's wrong with this country. 77 million people, including you, Damien, are what's wrong with this country. You rather rape children and don't give a fuck about them once they're shot in a school or performing active shooter drills because you don't give a fuck. See, there's a difference between you and me, Damien. See, I'm pro-life because I actually care about people rather than myself. I rather care about the 14 million kids that go to school hungry. I rather give them food. I rather care about a homeless man that's been left to rot and bring him home to my house, regardless of what people think. Why? Because I'm pro-life, Damien. You're not. I am a Christian. You're not. I rather care about what Jesus did for me as well as what a homeless man would have done for me if I brought him into my house. You don't give a shit about anybody but yourself. And you talking about Luna this, Luna that. Bro, it's all you. You're doing what Trump's doing. Blame the brown people, blame the brown people, blame the black people, blame Luna, blame Spanoodles, blame Spanoodles, blame Luna, blame Luna, blame Luna. I see that every fucking where on my fucking notification feed. I see you fucking talking about Luna every fucking day, bro. Stop with the bullshit. Stop it. Stop it. You raped minors. You did. Because through your silence and through your white privilege, you voted for that very same rapist that literally raped children and bombed an all-girls school in Iran. You're not pro-life. Don't run now. Delete your channel like you always do. And for good measure, don't fucking come back. Because mind you, I've said this every time. No matter how many times you come back, I will pounce on you. I will make sure that I will get on your ass. You are an adjudicated rapist, just like Donald J. Trump is. You raped minors, and you made them end their lives. That's what's wrong with this country. If I was the president of the United States, I would have brought back the guillotine from 1875, brought it all the way to here, and use it for people like you. Mark chapter 9 verse 42, for whosoever defiles these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a great millstone were hung around his neck and was thrown into the sea. Jesus hates pedophiles like you with a passion. He hates people like that. He hates people like that. So if I were you, I would actually go outside and touch grass, then blame people on the internet. If I was you, I would go outside and actually, do what a normal person would do, which is to fucking admit why we're here as a country. Be like this, Damien. Oh, hi, my name is Miguel Miranda, and white supremacy is the reason why we're here. Maybe that'll get you some friends. Maybe that'll get you some help. Maybe that'll get you some, some good motivation to keep moving forward. Just admit why we're here as a country. Just admit that you being a rapist and voting for the adjudicated rapist in the White House is why we're here as a country. Just admit that, Damien. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It is not that fucking hard. Not that hard. It's not that hard. You took the book of Samuel, you went to God and said, God, let me have an earthly king. In 2016, God said no, because he didn't want you to vote for the white man. Then, you went in 2020, asked God for an earthly king the second time. God said no, because he didn't want you to vote for the white man. But guess what, Damien? You, being the rapist as you are, raping minors and shit, you went to God one final time and said, God, let me have an earthly king. And God got a headache because you raped minors, and he got a headache because of the heinous actions that you were doing, and he gave you what you wanted. And now look at you. Now they can't take care of you with your kidney failure bullshit. Now they can't take care of you because they don't give you, universal health care. And that's the reason why we're here as a country. You, Damien, couldn't stomach thriving under a black woman. Kamala wasn't a felon. Kamala wasn't, an adjudicated rapist. Kamala wasn't a convicted felon on 34 counts. You voted for a white supremacist because he's white. It's not about the economy. It's not about the price of gas or the price of eggs. It's not about that. It's about white supremacy. Donald Trump did not run on the economy. He ran on white supremacy. Blame the brown people. Blame the black people. Blame the Somalians. Blame the Saharians. So I'll leave you with this, Damien. First, they came for the immigrants, but I'm not an immigrant, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Somalians, but I'm not a Somalian, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the black people, but I wasn't black, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the light skins, but I'm not light skinned, so I didn't say anything. And then they came for Joshua, which is a literal reminder of Jesus' salvation, and I was stoned to death because there was no one left to help me. That's why we're here. You, Damien, only give a fuck about your privilege. You rather sit behind your white privilege and ignore the 14 million kids that go to school hungry. You rather sit behind your white privilege and ignore Eugene Carroll, a 13-year-old, getting raped by Donald J. Trump. You rather hide behind your white privilege and blame Luna, or blame Sped Noodles, or blame Shadow, or blame other people, instead of blaming yourself. Because you're not pro-life. You're going to stand before God, and I pray that I'm there. I pray that I pray to the Almighty God. I pray to the Almighty God that I am there with popcorn on the day of judgment. And I better, Damien, I better hear you say that you helped Eugene Carroll. I better hear you say that you helped Alex Preddy. I better hear you say that you helped Renee Good. God is going to point you to them, and he's going to say, where were you when they were shot? Where were you? Where were you, Damien? Where were you when Alex Preddy got shot? Where were you, Damien, when Renee Good got shot? Where were you, Damien, when a white police officer shot a black woman, Breonna Taylor? Where were you? And the most selfish thing that a person can say to somebody is, were you better off 4 years ago than you were before? That is the most white supremacist, selfish thing that you could ever say to somebody. And you, Damien, through your white privilege, said that. You said that about Luna. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? You said that about Luna through your white privilege. You said that. Don't say you did it, because you did through your silence. You said in your silence to Luna, are you better off than I was 4 years ago? That means, in case you didn't know, that means screw everybody else, screw Luna, right? Screw the 14 million kids that go to school hungry, screw the 1.4 million Native Americans that died during the Trial of Tears and the Middle Passage. As long as it's about me. And that's why we're here as a country. That's why we're here, Damien. Because what about you is all about you. It's not about the 14 million kids that go to school hungry. It's not about the fucking white supremacists that's in the White House. It's not about Breonna Taylor getting shot by a white police officer. Serve and protect my ass. A Yuji Itadori cosplayer is more Christian than Kitty Paquita would ever be. Because he rather gets his hands dirty and beat the ever-living shit out of a fucking child molester. That's the problem with this country. And you know what happened? Mind you, this is a law in Singapore where the child molester gets to walk away with fucking compensation and minimal charges, while the person that's actually saving the child's life gets assault and public nuisance. That's what we have in this country, because through your silence, you voted for Trump. As long as you rape children in the name of Donald Trump, you're A-okay. But if you do it But if you don't rape children, and if it's not in the name of Donald Trump, you're gonna get discriminately racially profiled. That's why we're here as a country, Damien. You would rather thrive under a white supremacist than rather thrive under an actual plan for the country. You, Damien, are what's the problem? You're not a bug. You're a feature. You're not an implant. You're a system, Damien. These billionaires, they don't care if the child was murdered in a school. These billionaires don't care if a child was doing active shooter drills. Guess what Europe has that the United States doesn't have, because through your privilege you voted for it. Guess what country has universal health care? Europe. Guess what country has no gun violence? Europe. Guess what country has universal child care? Europe. And I bet you, Miguel, that your white privilege fucking clan hood is probably shitting its pants right now. I know you're probably like, oh, Europe has universal healthcare? We need to stop that. We need to do something about it. Because you don't care. You don't care. Stop saying that you care more about these people, because you fucking don't. You don't. And that's the fucking problem. Even these predator catchers, even through their silence, even though it's not because they didn't want to vote, it's not because they were not eligible to vote. A Yuji Itadori cosplayer in a video that I saw on Twitter is more fucking Christian than these people around here. He's more Christian than anybody would ever be claimed to be Christian. Because why? Because he'd rather save a child's life than rather let it die or watch it get dragged by the snow by ice. Damien, in your silence, you've allowed ice to drag a pregnant woman across the snow by ice. And just like, as you said, you're pro-life, right? That means you don't give a shit about pregnant women either. You don't give a shit. You don't. So stop saying that you care, because you don't. And there's people who are literally saying in your comment sections, when you say, oh, I'm going to end my life, there's people that are actually defending child molesters, so they themselves is a child molester too. That's just the issue. You're allowing people in your comment section to say, please don't kill yourself, please don't do it. They're actively defending child molesters, just like Donald Trump is actively defending child molesters. That's the issue. And until this country wakes the fuck up and realizes what we're doing, I'm sorry to say it, but I want America to fall. I want America to suffer. Because if that's the only way for people to actually wake up and realize that through their silence they voted for the white supremacists in the White House, then I'm sorry to say, but I'd rather watch America fall. I'd rather watch America fall as a democracy and as a nation. Because people tend to not wake up. They rather be asleep in their souls, but rather be fully awake in their bodies. Because, you know, the body is more important than the soul. Yeah, Damien, you voted for an adjudicated rapist in the White House because you yourself is a rapist. You were being called out by a fucking VTuber. A VTuber, out of all people. A VTuber. Everybody knows about you now. Everybody. Every fucking body, from the YouTube space, from the Club Penguin space, from the Snapchat space, from the fucking MeWe space, everybody fucking knows who the fuck you are now. Because you didn't give a shit about the minor's life. You didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit about the minor, whether it's shot in a school or fucking performing active shooter drills. You never cared. Because you'd rather watch it die than rather care about it. And that is the reason why you're hiding in your white victim card. That's why you're pulling the white victim card. Talk about some, oh, I would have died. I would have died. Nobody loves me. Yeah, cry. Cry. Be a good goyim and fucking cry, you piece of dog water piece of shit. Nobody wants to watch your shit. You are retarded. You are irrelevant. You are a nuisance to society. You are a fucking nuisance. Stop with the kidney failure bullshit. Stop with the kidney failure excuse. You are a fucking retard. And I hope that one day you get your rights revoked. And one day I hope that you are enslaved for the rest of your life. You voted for an adjudicated rapist in the White House. Don't say you didn't, because your silence did. So I'm going to say one more time, Miguel Miranda. First, they came for the immigrants, but I'm not an immigrant, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Somalians, but I'm not a Somalian, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Sanhedrins, but I'm not a Sanhedrin, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Twitter people, but I'm not a Twitter person, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the YouTube people, but I'm not a YouTuber, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for Josh, a reminder of Jesus' salvation, and there was no one left to help me because they stoned me to death. That's why we're here. And when democracy has already fallen. There's no more democracy in this nation because of the president in the White House. Damien, delete your channel, tell the cops what you've done wrong, and turn yourself in. Do us all a good favor, you good goyim for Trump. Yeah, because you follow what Donald Trump does. You rape children. You rather let Donald Trump bomb an all-girls school in Iran. So be a good goyim for Trump and turn yourself in. Okay? Do us all a favor. Delete your channel and never come back. Because like I said, I will pounce on your ass the moment you come back. Okay? Oh, and for the record, Damien, you're not pro-life. You're a white supremacist the same way Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist. You allowed a white supremacist to literally sit with Donald J. Trump. You are what's wrong with this country. Have yourself a white day.